On today's episode of You Asked, what's a good TV that can survive heavy usage? Are all-in-one soundbars worth it? And things to consider when finding a good TV option for the visually impaired. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is You Asked, the show where we answer your tech questions. If you've got something you want to know, send your question to youasked@digitaltrends.com, and don't forget to tune into the show to see if your question has been selected. Vinesh Surasham 277 asks, are all-in-one soundbars worth it, as they don't have a subwoofer and satellite speakers? I think they are definitely worth it for the right person with the right setup. The number one advantage you'll notice with a soundbar is probably dialogue clarity. With most modern TV speakers located on the back or sides of the TVs to keep them thin, the sound needs to reflect off of something to reach you. With a soundbar placed in front of the TV, they're already physically in a better place to clearly project sound toward you. So if you're someone that just wants to hear what you're watching better, yes, an all-in-one soundbar is already worth it. I'd say they're also worth it for someone viewing in a smaller room. There's no shortage of soundbars that boast a Dolby Atmos feature for precise, immersive audio. Is it going to be as good as a setup with a subwoofer and satellite speakers? Probably not, but in a small room, an all-in-one soundbar may be all you need to get close enough to a good Dolby Atmos experience. Not to mention, that same person in a small room may not have space or want all the additional audio hardware. And then there's the price. You're going to save a good bit of money just going with an all-in-one soundbar over a bigger setup. So if you've been on the fence about getting one, I definitely think they're worth it. Bigger multi-speaker systems get the clicks and views on YouTube, but I've watched more than a few movies with a single soundbar for audio, and the experience has been great. Vishizzi has the next question, simply saying, I drive my TV super hard, 9 hours a day. What's my recommendation? Well, I don't have a ton of information to go with for what you're doing with the TV for 9 hours, but I'm gonna guess you play a lot of games. I know back in my Call of Duty prime, 9 hours was a good day's work. Anyway, I'm gonna suggest you stay away from OLED, mainly because the burn-in risk is higher with things like maps and heads-up displays and logos, usually in one particular area of the screen for hours on end. From personal use, I still love the experience of the Samsung QN90C mini LED TV that I have at home. I'm not driving it 9 hours a day most of the time, but it is often on for hours at a time during the day and into the evening watching sports or shows with my wife. And then after everyone else is in bed, I usually get a movie in when I have the living room to myself. The picture and backlight is just as bright and responsive as when I first got it, and the operating system is still just as quick as well. So for you, I'd say the QN90F would be a great choice. It's just a newer version of the QN90C with better reflection handling and a few other upgrades. One of those upgrades though is an anti-glare matte screen finish. So if you don't want that, might I suggest the Hisense U8 QG instead. It usually costs a little less, but still comes with everything you could ask for in a premium mini LED TV. It's actually a bit brighter than the Samsung TV and offers Dolby Vision. I should also add that both TVs are great for gaming with 165Hz native refresh rates and support for VRR, variable refresh rate, when in game mode. And finally, since you do care enough about this to ask the question, I've got a suspicion that you're a bit concerned with dropping big dollars on a TV that's going to get put through the ringer. So if you want a more budget-friendly option, go with the TCL QM6K. It's not as bright as either of the first two options I mentioned, but it is still a fine TV with many of the same or similar features. The last question comes from the username ThatWhicHISee and says, I'm looking for a dumb TV for my totally blind father. He just needs a basic antenna connection. The issue I'm running into is his old flat screen had a voice assistant. It would say the channel number. Turning on the Wi-Fi and looking at basic TV is not the answer. Too many buttons to maneuver. I found a basic remote for the elderly that only has a channel, volume, and power buttons. Any suggestions for a dumb TV with voice assistant? This is a great question, and I've been thinking about it for a couple weeks now since I first came across it. At first, I was gonna counter and say maybe lean into the smart features. Lots of voice assistants can open apps and navigate to channels for you, but when I tested that, I found out the hard way that it's just as you said. Too many buttons. I tell my TV to open YouTube TV. It does, but then there's a profile screen where I need to make a selection. Yeah, you can navigate past that, so then I say, go to the USA channel. But I don't go straight there. I still have a selection to make. So that's no good for your father either. I did find that Samsung's voice guide did a good job of telling me where I was on the screen and what the options were, but again, YouTube TV was just a bit too complex. Sometimes it would tell me how much time was left in the programming, but not the actual program or channel, unless I was on the guide screen, which again, would be a lot to navigate to. So this is where I would call on the community for a bit of help, because I imagine the issues I'm having with Samsung's voice guide settings will also pop up on other TVs as well once you start to get into using the different apps. I don't currently have either of these to experiment with myself, but I see that the Apple TV and Roku have decent voice guides that read the screen, and I'd imagine that a streaming box meant to operate apps as its primary function would support reading those app screens a little bit better than maybe, a TV operating system. But again, I'd love to get everyone else's input here too. That's it for this week's episode. It'll be 2026 in a matter of days, which means it will also be time for CES in a matter of days. Let us know what you're looking forward to in 2026 about TVs or tech, or just life in general. Thanks as always for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.